Hello, everybody. Today's Friday. It is April 16th. Today we're doing robot, social, and nonsense because we had such big categories earlier this week.
And congratulations to all of you and to us. We are all participants in the #1 social media.
YouTube is once again the most popular social media platform. So be sure to share our content with literally everybody you know. We'll take anybody at this point, please.
Take the big prize from Facebook. Now, Facebook does have a massive, massive user base, and they do log in almost every day, most of them, but they're not growing like they used to. YouTube, on the other hand, continuing to grow.
Burp.
You can see there. YouTube did quite well during the 1920.
Although Instagram plus Facebook is more than YouTube.
Yeah. Well, this is just growth. In terms of numbers, I don't think it's all that close.
I think the youngins probably prefer YouTube and Instagram over like Facebook.
Yeah, but they're trying to get them off of it. I mean, they're probably not really trying because they know that, but they're pretending to try. They're trying something. I was very angry at this headline, and I still think that it will be used improperly, and it's a bad thing. But when you read the list of things that they're going to enforce this on, it actually doesn't seem as bad. I mean, this seems like some obvious things to do.
Twitch will ban users for severe misconduct that occurs away from its site.
So, yeah, I mean, you could see hate group membership. Well, that could be bad because who decides what's a hate group?
How are they taking the camera into the bathroom?
I guess if you keep it pointed up, maybe it's okay. Credible threats of violence. I mean, that's just a crime, right?
Yeah.
Do you really even need to involve Twitch for that? And some other things, some other obvious, racist type stuff. If you do it, say you tweet something, that could get you kicked off of Twitch.
Do you think RMS could start a Twitch channel?
Absolutely. Although he probably sucks at video games. Don't you think?
Probably.
Or probably like one of those old guys who struggles to even walk and move in
rather than turn the stream off, he would say, "I don't wish for you to be here anymore," and just go on with his life.
But some people worship that. He can make money. Twitter. So we talked about the big Facebook antitrust thing that's coming down, and the big bullet points there were every time there's a competitor, you research it, target it, and buy it. And that's anti-competitive, which has to be scary when Twitter sees that, when they're doing the exact same thing right now.
Twitter is said to have discussed the $4 billion buyout of Clubhouse, but then they looked at it and said, wait, this is just Mumble or Discord or just audio chat. We could just build this.
Vaporware. Yeah.
I don't know if they were necessarily the ones to pull out. It might have been Clubhouse.
Oh, it probably was.
But Clubhouse is looking to try and get investment capital to the tune of $4 billion. We talked about the Facebook data leak, and this is just more details about that because this is social media section. Probably should have done this one first. But yeah, they're saying that it was a leak, but it was so long ago, and it's not really a new thing, and we just don't really want to bother with it.
Facebook does not plan to notify 500 million users affected by data leak. Well, they didn't even leak it themselves. That's not us. We gave that data to somebody else and they leaked it. That wasn't us.
And in fact, Facebook is not only not in the wrong here, but they're the protector. And if only we would have counted on them, this wouldn't be a problem. Whose fault is it?
Facebook says it's your fault that hackers got 500 million user phone numbers. Yeah, you should have taken better care of your phone number.
That they require when you register. Unfortunate. The other unfortunate thing that we constantly see are racist algorithms. They're running wild, and when will their racism be stopped? Well, apparently not anytime soon, because all of the universities in the world are using one.
Proctorio is using racist algorithms to detect faces. A student researcher has reverse engineered the controversial exam software and discovered that the tool infamous for failing is discovered a tool infamous for not recognizing non-white people.
There is one person in this photograph as considered by this AI. Now, what's funny about this is this person wrote some blog posts about this, and the company has retorted there is a, what was the name of the OpenCV? So OpenCV is what he's basing all this on, because he found references to OpenCV in the code for Proctorio.
OpenCV is what I used on which explains its horrible racist tendencies.
So they said, no, we do use OpenCV, but not in this particular scenario. So, not sure. They also had a really crazy... oh, yeah. A big part of their argument is facial detection versus facial recognition. Do you think it's any better?
No.
At black faces?
No.
Because the data set is not good.
And speaking of racism, that is definitely one of the big things in the tech world and the world in general today. Intel has an interesting tool, and I think this is probably a good tool, but the engineers that built it didn't understand the nuances of public relations and the world we live in 2021. They gave us tools that are good, but should have been considered more. And I hate to say that.
Yeah.
Because this is fine, but it's not going to be a fine.
Vice reports that Intel's dystopian anti-harassment AI lets users opt in for quote-unquote some racism.
Now, here's the question, though. Let's say that we built something internally, right? And then we're sitting around and we're going to ship it. We're ready to show the client the final product and it's ready. Do you think that maybe, let's say I built this interface, right? Do you think that you'd be like, I'm not sure about this N-word toggle. The N-word toggle could be controversial because you literally have it. There it is. It's the N-word toggle. Also, racism and homophobia sliders.
That's what gets me, is it's so specific. Like, I know like Blizzard has a setting in like Overwatch where it says, you know, do you want to hide out certain words?
All you need to know...
But it's just like a single toggle, not like individual words like this.
All you need to know about how this software works is, like, Valve software already did this. It's the Meet the Pyro video. Go look up the Team Fortress Meet the Pyro video, and goggles on, goggles off. That's with this software.
But it's not that good.
It's not yet, but it will be.
It doesn't replace the racism with nice stuff. It simply just mutes it. So... it can identify, and when you turn those sliders up, the reason they give you the sliders and the toggles is that this probably goes a little too far, and you might actually not be able to hear what your teammates are saying when they're peppering it with expletives. So you can kind of nudge that up or down.
We've been running so long this week, but there's just this whole aspect. I really think that we ought to have a spin-off series of the Level 1 News where we discuss some of these things, because we could just, it would be so exciting. Like, in the 1960s, you know, Uhura kissing Kirk was like a big deal, and like that was like a social thing, and looking back it's like, you know, wow, that's really groundbreaking. Is modern science fiction going to be like, you know, the alien race puts on their helmet and anything that might trigger them is just automatically filtered out by the AI, and they're more functional and better somehow? Because I feel like that being exposed to the shock of Uhura kissing Kirk was ultimately good for... But this is kind of the opposite.
I'm sure you know this, and we might have even talked about this on this venue before. But according to Takei, the script was Spock.
Oh yeah.
And when they were like, one of the producers on the set was like, "This is going to be a historic moment," and Shatner was like, "Huh?" And he pulled Roddenberry aside, and they came back in, and they were like, "All right, Kirk is going to do the kiss. It's going to be Kirk." And he's going to go down in history. Now, sometimes...
But I mean, I'm not the only one that sees the relationship there. Like, the thing that Intel's doing doesn't seem a lot different than what they were doing on TV then, but kind of maybe the opposite.
But it makes more sense in this context because it's kids, mostly, right? Well, maybe not mostly, but a lot of them. And
it's not a media thing either. It's not like you're seeing it on TV or anything.
It's not like you're sitting at home looking at the TV like, no, you're trying to participate in a game. But you might be hearing terrible things.
What if the people in the 1960s had the option to turn off interracial kissing? It's like, I don't want to see that.
But then back in those days, it would just be a big black bar. Yeah, I don't know. I understand it, but I also don't think that. I think shielding children from that is going to have a negative effect. They need to understand how bad the world is, not pretend like it's not. Because that's just they're going to be taken advantage of later in life.
I mean, definitely, if you were a kid watching the adults react to people reacting to the on-screen interracial kiss, you definitely learned a lot there.
I bet there was at least one, probably more than one, smashed TV back in the Uhura day, right?
Yeah. It's like, I've been betrayed. My favorite science fiction has been, that's a line too far.
Not in this house.
And then you look back and it's just like, wow, those people were messed up. Are we going to look back and it's like, oh, we didn't know any better. We were so stupid back then.
They were messed up and they all had 15 kids apiece. And they're all still out there doing that. But racist AI, sometimes like there's racist AI that's just racist because you fed it bad data. And that's kind of all of them, I guess. It's racist because we're racist. And there's racist AI that is designed to be racist. And you might say, well, who would do that? And actually, the answer is no one, which is even sadder.
Government audit of AI with ties to white supremacy finds no AI. So, yeah, the government did an audit of this company. They made all these claims. When they looked at it, it was like...
You're leaving out very important parts of the story. This guy, do you remember his name?
No.
Domlin Patton.
Banjo, CEO. Remember Banjo? We've covered Banjo before.
So he created this Banjo system. And then it was later revealed through his social media, like some actual, really serious racist white supremacist stuff. Like he was involved in groups. This was actually a thing he was in. It wasn't the cancel culture. No, he really was part of this stuff, or at least according to VentureBeat. Yeah. And then when they found that out, they were like, "We've got to review this AI. We've got to find out if this AI really is racist." And then there is no AI. It was all fake.
Yeah.
This was the Theranos of the AI world. And they paid what, like $120 million the government paid?
Yeah. It didn't exist yet.
Didn't do anything.
RIP.
Supposed to be, they touted it as like it was supposed to be a live, it looked at live footage and could tell when certain things were happening. The one they point out here, child abduction. There was no AI. Amazing. Amazing, the world we live in. But when it comes to, Mr. Wiggers, of course. When it comes to voice chat, Discord is just really letting us down.
Yeah.
We're having a bad time with Discord. And maybe in the age of all this internet congestion, it's not the bandwidth that we need to count on to save us, but rather the codec.
Google launches Lyra codec in beta to reduce voice call bandwidth usage. It's an expertly trained AI. It's the new amazing thing. I wonder if the people that left the AI division had anything to do with it.
What if all this gets mixed up and then the people that left the AI division because of, like there's some racism stuff mixed in there, right?
Yeah.
Is then used for a racist voice algorithm.
I thought you were going in a different direction where it's like if you had a certain accent or your voice sounded a certain way, it would literally be translated into just clicks and whistles.
I'm sure that this does struggle with some of that. So what it does is it chops up the data stream, the voice stuff, into tiny, tiny, tiny segments, and then it uses machine learning to reassemble them on the other side. So it's not a constant stream of your voice. It's being rebuilt. How long until they can just change it to whatever they want it to be? Like they learn your voice for 10 minutes and then start changing what you were saying.
The deep fake of audio?
Yeah,
and then,
exactly.
and then deep fake it with a video.
Soon.
Yeah.
But
TM.
Here's the thing about it. 3 kilobytes per second.
That's pretty good.
That's incredible. I imagine that's per participant, but still. So they say if we get another like Texas ice storm where all the lines are busy, this could kick in and save us.
Meanwhile, at the NSA, they were like, we're going to save so much bandwidth.
They call up like, Not for any reason, but do you have a storage API for this?
Just curious.
We talked about the Uber changing how it works, taking away the driver's ability to see fares and to see destinations and to get decent pricing. And perhaps they knew about this beforehand, and that's why they are preemptively doing that. Because when you give the drivers too much information, they might beat your terrible system that's built to take their money.
DoorDash drivers game algorithm to increase pay. The Decline Now movement is testing whether workers can use a company's software against it. So basically, the drivers in an area got together and they're like, "Okay, don't take the cheap ones because then we'll all suffer."
Yeah, somehow if you deny the cheap ones, everybody makes more money, except DoorDash. And then I guess you're also punishing people who are not tipping because they never get their order filled. It's interesting. Could go terribly far in the other direction as well, though. And that would probably just kill DoorDash. I suppose we'll see. Honestly, though, we won't see because DoorDash will have this fixed in a week, don't you think?
Yeah, they'll shut this down.
Your GPS coordinates are very close to driver, some other GPS coordinates. You've both been blacklisted.
Or you've taken 2 20% tip orders today. You must now take 1 5% tip order to regain the balance in your account. You can totally see that. I tried to find an update. Has it flown yet? Do you know?
I don't know.
I don't think it has. I think they're
As of this
waiting.
recording.
This was the 5th, so I think they're still waiting on something. But we have hit another milestone with our fabulous Mars copter.
NASA's Mars helicopter survived its first cold night on Mars on its own because it was like almost minus 100 C, which is pretty darn cold. That's really hard on electronics, batteries, and that kind of thing. Well, it survived.
It was its first night out of its womb that
Protective
it was in
cocoon shell
under the other robot. So it's got its battery down there. Now, the interesting thing about this little helicopter, no instrumentation of any kind. It's not taking any samples. It's not looking around anything. All it wants to do is, can I fly?
Oh, it has a camera.
Oh, does it? Oh, that's right, because they're going to send back a picture. I forgot about that one. Yeah, but I mean, these days, the cameras are so tiny.
There's like 17 in this room alone.
South Korea, they are often at the forefront of different adopting technology. I think they are a community that adopts technology much more rapidly than some other countries, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
They definitely, I mean, they got the great internet, plus e-sports and stuff like that. They certainly were the first at that and the best.
Yeah.
And but you can still alienate them when you do something very, very stupid with AI.
South Korean chatbot shows just how sloppy tech companies can be with user data. This is in Slate.
So the problem here, this was like a love bot, but you would take your messenger. So you've been texting with some suitor that you want to perhaps have a romantic relationship with. This AI can take that string of messages and score it based on how interested it thinks that other party is to you. It's based on response time, the length of the messages, and the language. But here's the tricky part. They weren't just scoring you, they were training the AI with your messages. And because of that, as you can imagine, young lovers texting each other, it caused the AI to get a little bit racy sometimes when you were just talking to it. And of course, a little bit of racism and sexism thrown in there too. No, they didn't disclose they were doing that. People aren't too happy about it because, as you can imagine, again, texting between lovers, some intimate details. Did you listen to this?
One of the songs was taken down.
Really?
Yeah, it was a YouTube like can't play this, it doesn't work thing.
I listened to the first one. I thought it sounded pretty similar, actually. It was not a good Nirvana song, but I might have been convinced that it is one.
Lost Tapes of the 27 Club used Google AI to quote unquote write a new Nirvana song, and then a Nirvana tribute band performed it.
No, just the voice.
Just the voice.
The AI did all the arrangement. I think it wrote the lyrics too.
Yeah,
but it counted on that guy
to actually sing.
To sing it. You know what it made me think of when I was listening to it? I was thinking like, oh, I should listen to real Nirvana. This reminds me that I like real Nirvana.
Says it was a singer from a Nirvana tribute band, so it wasn't.
He sounds similar.
We should use this to create our own interesting and compelling music, since that's something that we've lacked for our channel for a long time.
Oh yeah. What would we feed it?
Video game themes.
We should feed it only your and Krista's musical choices and see what kind of abortion comes out the other end of that. Some kind of barely intelligible parody song about Middle Earth.
That's later in the nonsense section when we cover the Lord of the Rings in Russian.
And moving on to more robot news, we do know that, oddly enough, I guess it's not oddly enough, but somewhat surprising to me at least, is when we started putting robots out there with the general population, a non-trivial amount of people just started attacking them. And it seems like children are not immune to that. But these robot designers, they said, you give us lemons, we're making lemonade.
Children beating up a robot inspires new escape maneuver system. So this is like one of those mall patrol robots, and they've modified the AI. So if it's like, oh, there's a bunch of kids with no adult around, we should avoid that.
So it looks at figures lower than 4 foot 1 inch, I think it was, in a group. If it sees a group of small people, it just turns around and goes the other direction. And it tries to identify someone over that height, as if it's like, run away from the children to an adult and maybe the adult will save you. Which is hilarious. Because they studied
love the clip of all the kids, like, they chain their arms up so it can't get out.
So this robot would walk up to the kids and it would say, can I please pass? And the kids obviously said no and then started to attack it. Because that's what you do when a robot politely asks you a question.
Also, I think my cam froze. Hang on.
Uh-oh.
Oh, it's trying. Oh, I'm back. I restarted it.
I don't
it's
know
fine.
if we... Well, how long was that?
Did it work for you?
It seems okay now.
Just for like a minute, I think.
Oh, nope.
No. You're still frozen.
Oh, it's fine on my end.
Oh, is it because I...
Sorry.
It's because I downsized you. Hang on. Yeah, you're good.
All right, cool.
Don't downsize. Drag off the screen. Now we've had a terrible mishap. It's fine. Maybe a little editing on this episode. Elon Musk, he's got all these crazy businesses, and maybe the craziest is the one where they're just implanting stuff in your brain to interface with electronics. I mean, it sounds like a dream, but I don't think we're ready for it yet. And the man he co-founded that company with definitely has some interesting ideas.
Elon Musk partner says that he could build the real Jurassic Park with genetically engineered dinosaurs. Oh, that's not a good idea.
What about all those movies and the books makes you think, yeah, that'd be a good idea?
Well, they made a lot of money before it went bad, right?
They spared no expense.
This is, of course, one of Wendell's things that drives him crazy, and he's right about it. A story that makes noise.
Please stop it.
A story based 100% on a single tweet.
On a tweet.
Yeah.
Moving right along.
No details. He didn't tell us how he was going to do that. He just tweeted.
Or how those technologies even intersect between, like, genetic engineering and implanting a chip in your head.
I don't know that he was going to use the Neuralink stuff to make the dinosaurs.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, I think he's just
throwing
shit
out there, yeah.
He's getting headlines, and he got them. And we read them. Another problem that SpaceX has, and it's certainly not a new problem, but if you're the victim of it, it's got to be unsettling, right?
Yep. Debris from SpaceX rocket launch has fallen on a farm in central Washington. And there it is. Some sort of like pressurized tube thing.
It's part of the staging thing. It's part of one of the things that explodes when it sheds the booster. Normally that would burn up in the atmosphere, but they had some problems on that last launch. So made it all the way down to Earth.
And to somebody's farm who declined to be interviewed and whatever.
I like that when they made that statement about it, they were like, please, treasure hunters, don't, because I guess treasure hunters would just descend on the property like locusts.
Elon Musk touched this part of the rocket personally. I don't think so.
What do you think it would sell for if they could get it and sell it?
Thousands of dollars.
Thousands or tens of thousands?
You turned it into an NFT first, and then...
It depends on the buyer. Yeah, I bet you could find a buyer for something like that.
Do you sell the NFT and the piece to the same person or different people?
I think you turned it into an NFT, and then you shred it into some kind of confetti, and then you sell it as an NFT.
Why not do individual chunks? Again, the indulgences. The NFT indulgence industry could be massive. I mean, who's the hot young star? Is Taylor Swift still hot? Taylor Swift walks off stage, peels off her dress, they film slicing it up into ribbons, and they NFT each ribbon.
It'd probably be $1 million per slice plus, which is disturbing.
It's still got her sweat all over it.
Yeah, that's what's part of what's driving the price up so high.
This was an exciting project, but I can't help but think, like,
there are other ways.
Yeah.
Why would you go to this expense just to rebuild? How much more did you spend just to make it work after spending that much on it?
Intel MacBook Pro owner adds water cooling to silence the noisy fans and boost performance. So it's a cold plate that the laptop sits on because it's not one of the M1 Macs. That's the joke.
But he did put thermal padding down there and pulled off a bunch of stuff off the bottom so it's perfectly flat. And he claims the reason he did this is because people were complaining during Zoom meetings.
Yeah.
It was so loud. This is, I suppose, a sad day. Krista, aren't you a big fan of this?
Not a huge fan, but I mean, there are some funny things on there, like how is Babby formed?
But it's probably not funny enough for them to justify keeping the servers running.
No.
The cost that it's costing them every day to keep this alive, because I don't think anybody uses it for real.
Yahoo Answers, a repository for stupid questions, is shutting down, in case you didn't get the memo.
What will we do now when we need answers?
Go to archive.org and look up Yahoo Answers.
But what if I need to ask a question that's never been asked?
There's also a link at the bottom of this. I think I have this on a playlist somewhere. Curse of the Ouija board. It's just tons of Yahoo questions about Ouija boards, but it's always spelled wrong.
Oh yeah, I saw the Luigi board.
It's hilarious, yeah.
I like how terrified people are of those. People have real fear about those things. Well, Chris, obviously, have you seen?
I haven't watched any clips of it. I've seen lots of like screen caps, but I haven't watched it yet.
I believe it is available in its entirety on YouTube. Is that a weekend plan?
No, maybe I'll just spend some time with the books based on the screen caps.
How can you not watch this? Come on. Headline.
Soviet TV version of Lord of the Rings rediscovered after 30 years. Russian language film posted on YouTube delights fans.
I watched it about 10 minutes of the first half, and it is a delightfully mesmerizing train wreck.
Did you do the full first 10 minutes or did you skip around?
No, I did the full first 10 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Is it better or worse than the Rankin Bass cartoon?
I think it's better than the Rankin Bass cartoon, but it's maybe not as good as the reimagined Leonard Nimoy version from the 70s.
Aren't the hobbits a little too small in this screenshot?
Yeah. In the first 10 minutes, there's not really like a ton of stuff that happens, but yeah, it doesn't have the best production value.
They tried. Now, is this just the Fellowship, or do they do the whole?
Oh.
Kristen, we need answers about this. You
I
got to
think
watch
it was
that.
just the Fellowship, but I'm not sure.
This is just a fantastic headline. I mean, how can you not read this story when you see this?
Yeah.
Up to 5 monkeys on the loose in Ohio, last seen in cemetery. This is Cincinnati. Police in Cincinnati are on the lookout for monkeys.
They could come here.
They were probably some monkeys that belong to a private owner, because apparently that's a thing.
You immediately think Cincinnati Zoo, right?
Yeah, no.
Because there's a zoo there. No, these are just big private monkeys. What happens in your life that you say to yourself, all right, I got to let these monkeys go?
Pandemic.
You went through a whole year of lockdown smelling those stinky monkeys, but now you got to get rid of them.
You're like, yeah, I'm done with this now.
Also, good on them for sticking together. I guess what choice do they have, though, right?
It reminds me of that scene, is it Jumanji, where the monkeys are running through like the town and the cemetery? Maybe someone's playing Jumanji in Cincinnati right now.
What country was it where they had a huge problem with that during the pandemic? Because no one was feeding them.
Oh yeah, the tourists weren't there.
Was it
I
like
don't remember.
Sri Lanka or
Yeah,
something like that?
Tibet maybe.
Yeah, I think that was it, actually. I don't like monkeys. They freak me out. If you are if you're a fan of games like the simulator games, you know, where you just set up two battles and you just watch them fight, but there's really no gameplay. I don't understand those, but people love them. Here's one that you can play and you might be able to make money at.
Microsoft releases a cyberattack simulator. Shall we play a game? This is good for testing your stuff.
So you can see here, you plan all the various little nodes of your network and your system, and you define the software that goes into them, and it considers all the various vulnerabilities that it might be able to use to attack your system. Couldn't someone adapt this to just be pure
hideously evil
aggression, like actually hacking systems? It seems like they're kind of messing around with a weapon that maybe shouldn't be built here.
There's a bunch of Linux distros that are basically already that, so yeah.
Yeah, but this has a GUI. I've never heard of CrimeDoor. Have you heard of them before?
Nope.
It's an interesting idea. The idea behind CrimeDoor is it's augmented reality. Do you think you have to go to the place where it happened? Probably not. But you go and you witness famous crime scenes. So you could walk through, maybe you could walk through the streets of London and find a young prostitute that Jack the Ripper had murdered.
This is so dark already, and then they made it darker.
And they
canceled it.
Yeah, but they thought about it. It came up in a board meeting.
CrimeDoor cancels plans for an AR experience of George Floyd's final moments. That seems a little distasteful.
Yeah, let's not do that.
After I watched the George Floyd video, and I may have changed my mind about after watching the whole video about who was responsible for what, but I don't want to see it again.
Yeah,
I mean,
I heard so many bad things about it. I was like, I'm not seeking that out.
It is a man crying for his mother as he suffocates.
It's distressing, and it's weird that someone was like, how can we monetize this in a video game?
Yeah, it's probably not something we should be. Also, I guess the recreation could be really good, though, because they had 5 or 6 cameras running on that thing the whole time. That's the other insane thing about it.
That's the other takeaway is it's like anytime you're in public in an American city, how many cameras are on you?
Now, Wendell, you are Team Moderna.
Yep.
You've already locked in. I have not chosen yet, but I'm leaning toward Pfizer. Krista, what team do you think you'll be on?
There's part of me that wants to do the Johnson & Johnson, but then I heard some stuff was taken down recently, so I'm not sure.
You will be alienated on TikTok if you do that, Krista, because as this article points out, the Johnson & Johnson is what they describe as the Walmart of the vaccines. It's for poor people.
The faded glory of vaccines.
Oh my gosh.
But whichever one you choose, you will be joining a faction. So be prepared for that. Be prepared to rep your vaccine.
NBC News reports Team Pfizer, Moderna, or Johnson vaccine rivalries are taking over TikTok. Only hot people get Pfizer.
Yeah, Krista, the hot girls are definitely doing Pfizer. So I don't know if that influences
summer, you gotta
you.
be on Pfizer.
Yeah. So they have this chick, I don't know who she is. I drunk your milkshake. Apparently she's super popular. And she is one who is repping Pfizer. Pfizer gang.
I wonder if they're paying for that.
If they're not, they should start.
I want to be in that board meeting when the marketing people roll in and they're like, all right, this is going to sound a little out there, but we need to do some influencer funding. Okay, well, we're in for that. What are we doing here? It's like, let me show you. And then they show them that, and it's just like, do we need money for this?
I see a $20 million line item here, and I don't understand what we're buying with that. Oh, we're giving the Paul brothers our vaccine.
They should get different ones though, so they can do YouTube videos like, dissing each other, diss tracks.
And they can each talk about the side effects and like who's got it worse, who's doing better. That's a lot of content right there. it's shocking. With 2 stories this week about the Mustang Mach-E, which I will reiterate is a god-awful, ugly piece of machinery. What were they thinking? Jesus.
Why did they call it Mustang? This is not a Mustang.
Yeah.
It's worse than the Mustang that they had in that awful Knight Rider reboot.
It's a Mustang mommy car. And it's, I don't know. But anyway, people seem to like it. Actually, it's getting a lot of glowing reviews, which is angering you-know-who.
Ford Mustang Mach-E owner praises car and receives death threats from Tesla fans. As someone who's experienced our own YouTube comments, that sounds about right.
But as they point out, this guy also has a Tesla and has praised it on the same Twitter feed where he's getting most of the hate.
Well, he's also complained about it on the same Twitter feed where he's getting hate.
But he said overall he liked it. However, he liked the Mustang a little bit more, and that was not acceptable.
Not acceptable.
No.
Yeah. So.
Imagine being such a corporate shill that you send someone a death threat because they don't like the same product as you.
Well, that happens every day. There's people
blows my mind
in the comments who feel that way about NVIDIA and AMD and Intel.
But
there might be somebody sitting at this desk who feels that way about AMD. That's not true. Wendell's pragmatic enough to use Intel. He just doesn't tell anybody about it. It's his little secret.
It's a dirty secret.
When he needs it, he uses it.
I want things that go fast and don't cost a lot of money.
Now, Wendell, they did not provide a picture here, and I felt like that was a problem.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to see. Now, do you think it was the
Batleth?
The cling, or was it all like rifles and phasers and stuff?
It's untelling. I mean, it's probably a combination.
Thinking back, I haven't watched all of the newer shows, but on Next Generation, and certainly the original series, the guns didn't look all that gun-like.
Yeah.
Did they change that later on? I think like some of the aliens had more gun-like guns.
Yeah, mostly it was, things might resemble a pistol.
But as someone in law enforcement who should have some training in identifying firearms, do you think you'd ever be fooled?
No.
I don't think so either.
Fort Lauderdale police mistook quote-unquote Star Trek memorabilia for weapons. These 2 guys who were older received quite a beating, and the best excuse they could come up with was Star Trek memorabilia, which probably means that it wasn't even that. They were probably just looking for anything.
The thing about it is, you might be thinking, oh, did somebody make a call? Is this like a red flag type of deal? No. Someone keyed this guy's car. He called the cops. The cops showed up and said, this is less than $1,000. Don't waste our time next time. And he got angry about that and probably said some things that he shouldn't have. Or he should have had every right to, but because of the police state that we live in, he was then savagely beaten for those remarks. And his friend came to try to rescue him and received his own savage beating. This cop had 78 complaints of violence against him.
Probably don't need to live in Fort Lauderdale anymore.
Oh, it's a terrible place, Florida.
Florida's kind of a rough state in general.
But obviously they needed some kind of excuse for why they savagely beat these 2 older men, and the one they came up with was Star Trek weapons. Do the Star Trek guns even have triggers? Isn't the phaser like a thumb operation?
On Next Gen, yeah. The original, like, Star Trek, the original series style phaser was trigger driven.
But it was on one of those ray gun type looking things, right?
Yeah, it definitely looked like a ray gun.
Didn't look like anything. Did you see
phaser rifles are trigger driven as well?
Some genius. They have all these guns that you can take a Glock lower and just mount it into a much larger system and run, kind of like a little mini carbine or something. Somebody got a blue polymer Glock lower and 3D printed a Nerf. But it's a fully operational 9mm Glock.
Oh, that's going to get somebody murdered.
Yeah, it got seized, and Biden's going to have a field day with that. I bet, much like we can't get flavored cigarettes, we're not going to be able to get colored guns. It's got to be evil and black. And I don't mean that in terms of...
That's okay. Someone's already clipped it.
Yeah.
And our final story, this was a big one. And I don't understand what these celebrities think. How many times has this played out at this point? The Streisand bit was the big one.
I think this is a reverse Streisand.
It
Yeah, I
did.
think she's using it to get her name out.
But
Possibly.
did you notice BBC News didn't have the balls to put the picture in the article?
They did not.
I looked up the photo because it was bothering me. I needed to know.
What was your? I haven't seen it yet. What was your opinion on it?
She looks fine. I don't.
Well, yeah, of course she looks fine. She's
I
a very
posted a
attractive
picture.
woman.
That's gonna be now in our chat history, but
Oh, okay. Let me go
yeah,
over here. And
she
take a
looks
look at it.
fine. Like, I don't understand, but I mean, she doesn't look like she's been edited to hell and back. But we haven't read the headline.
That waist is nothing like the stuff she normally puts out, right?
Yeah, but she's very pretty. I don't understand it.
She's got
Anyway,
the Borat
this is
thing
about
going
Khloe
on.
Kardashian tries to get an unfiltered photo removed from literally everywhere on the internet, and it's not going well.
That is a slightly above average attractiveness woman, and what she needs is to be one of the most attractive women in the world for her brand to succeed. So that's the problem.
Khloe Kardashian tries to get unfiltered photo removed from social media. The lawyers are having a field day.
I mean, good luck.
It's definitely a reverse Streisand.
Yeah, I think she's like, oh, this will just get me in the news more.
Well, some people did praise her. You know, like there's that whole movement of like no makeup, real women's bodies, that type of thing. So I think it had some good reaction at first.
Yeah.
And then they did this.
I mean, what she's showing there definitely takes a lot of work and maintenance.
Yeah, but you can also achieve it with filters.
Well, yeah,
You
and if
can-
you've seen any of their photos, usually it's like they're just airbrushed out of existence.
Did you guys also see? Did we talk about this last week? Kim Kardashian now a billionaire.
That's
Not going to be fun for her pending divorce when they try to split those assets.
it's not especially surprising, but
I thought one of the younger girls was richer than her. I guess maybe not anymore.
I don't know.
no idea.
It's not a world I understand.
Anyway, the TLDR there is that she looks fine. This is a publicity stunt, and we fell for it. But we're here at the end.
You made it through another week. Thank you.
She does look fine, but she doesn't look better than, you know, lots of other girls out there, and they all probably have more personality than she does. And yet, she's worshipped. And
I don't know.
her father kept a murderer out of prison. Gotta remember that.
Not the best track record, no. See you next week.
Krista, give us
That's it.
an unflattering bikini goodbye.
Bye.